Warlocks and Waffles. Warlocks and Waffles. Pact once broken, forged. Pact once broken, forged. Warlocks and Waffles. Warlocks and Waffles. Warlocks and Waffles. Warlocks and Waffles. A pact once broken, forged anew. Warlocks and Waffles.
Did you want waffles?
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Warlocks and Waffles, the only show that dares to ask the question, we don't know what it means either, but the show won't stop asking it. We're a TTRPG morning show. Junie, how was your weekend?
Pretty good. I made some accidental banana bread yesterday. It was
as you do.
It was fun. Sometimes you're positive you have cupcake liners, and then you realize that you don't.
Sure.
And that's a thing you got to live with sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a lot of bananas, man. You ever just have too many bananas?
Never.
You've never had too many bananas.
I don't buy bananas.
Okay, fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, that's actually pretty. That's okay. That makes a lot of sense.
I don't.
You need more
necessarily-
potassium in your life.
I don't, though, is the problem.
Don't you?
I don't think so. Potassium's never done anything for me. I don't understand why I would need to have it involved in my life more.
Yeah, because you don't have it in your life. So that's
I mean,
why
I
it hasn't
used
done
to
anything
eat
for you.
bananas, but I just don't enjoy bananas.
This is an intervention, everybody.
Welcome to Warlocks and Waffles, a banana bread fan cast. Junie.
Yes. What's up?
What
How you doing?
What are we doing today?
What are we doing today?
Yeah, what are we doing today?
We had a lot of fun, or at least I had a lot of fun, and I imposed my will on you that we had fun. The other day. Oh, good. It doesn't matter if you did or didn't. I'm making do this anyway. So we are gonna touch on one of the things that I randomly came up with during my too many ideas pitch deck. At least that's what Hunter suggested, and that made a lot of sense. It's like, hey, we had a lot of things that we knew we could touch on and like really go into, and then I went on another tangent train where I remembered one of the ideas I was gonna do for the too many ideas thing, but then that would have been too hard because I choose either to when I'm it's too late at night and I don't have the mental capacity, or it's too early in the morning and I don't have enough time. I'll just tell you now so we can hold ourselves to it that we have to do it. Making D&D versions of shows, because I so desperately keep wanting to make changing the so you can think you can dance logo into so you think you can smite. And it is just and I keep putting it off, and now I'm like, now I have to make it happen. And two, I know we can come up with more shows. We can get some of these things greenlit, I know it. But then I was going through, it's like, all right, what could I do? Hunter doesn't want me to do strippers. So I really
Yeah,
liked
that's just me. It's just me holding you back on that one.
I mean, hey, I get it. No potassium, you're a coward. That's a solid through that's a solid through line right there.
Sure.
But
Makes sense.
yeah, yeah.
The math checks out.
The math checks out. I am a mathematician. No,
I am a
so
mathematician.
I'm a mathematician. So it turned into I wanted to go back to some of our D&D one-liners, but then that snowballed into what I think is a better idea. Hunter, whenever you're ready, you want to put up what we're talking about here, and then we can just dive in so people understand the train of thought here.
Sure.
Okay. Let me know when we're ready.
Oh,
We're good.
We're there.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
We're here. Okay. So I kept coming up with one-liners that incorporated slang that is that is fresher, funky fresher than some than what some older players might be using. And then that turned into, oh, wait a second, I should explain what those things are. And then I was like, well, why don't I just make it so those new things are things already in the game that's so it's understandable. So it turned into updating the jargon of some D&D terms and phrases with some Gen Z slang.
So this is not at all what you told me it was.
No, I mean, it is. I took one of the slides. I took my favorite one, right? And then I went on with it. That was the assignment.
Right.
The assignment was do it, but just want to remind everybody again, just like last time, this is a clean pitch deck. This is there's going to be nothing real saucy. It's not sexy. There should be even fewer sexy things in this one than there was last time. There will be no gnomes and no strippers. So, but we all know that Junie somehow, some way does make things sexy. But Junie is also old. So he learned some things today while I was making this. There are things that we knew from last time. How do you want to do this? I tried to come up with like some new ones, like roll the math rocks before you get rocked.
Right.
But that just didn't. Ooh, we got ourselves a whoopsie, and then I felt like I felt older.
Yeah.
I felt like an old man.
I think we all felt after we got ourselves a whoopsie. I think we all felt you get older.
Yeah. I just felt older, and I was just like, oh man, I'm cool though too. So it's like, all right, I'm better than this.
Right.
So I thought
you need to prove that you are like young, hip, and fresh.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And there are words that you might learn today that are better than everything you just said. So, but what kind of things are we tackling? Like hit points, character sheet, saving throw. Some of these, but how often do you say experience points? That doesn't come around as much.
Me?
Dungeon master.
Never. I do
never,
milestone.
Right? Oh, yeah, there, right? So I was like, okay, if I think of these, or if I like, and I just started going down the wormhole of, if I started going down the wormhole of like, okay, everything we say or common things or just looking at character sheets, what are we gonna do? And then I was like, all right, what are some Gen Z phrases? Like, where am I gonna go through here? And
Mm-hmm.
so we're gonna go through some Gen Z phrases.
Yeah.
Uh, the
Bussin',
internet,
Riz, Snatch,
yeah,
Slap, Sus, Fire, Caught in 4K, Chad, Goat. I am
okay.
familiar with all of these.
Okay, I was not familiar with Caught in 4K, which is now one of my favorites.
Caught in 4K is
Uh,
very good.
I really like Caught in 4K.
Yeah.
So you're so far you're all caught up. There's nothing that you're like, oh, I have no idea what this means.
Yeah.
But you know, there's Hella Skrilla. I'm still not 100% on that one. But things like high key and low
High key
key,
and
I
low
think you get
key.
that
Yeah.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
hits
Loki,
different.
the iconic Disney Marvel villain.
Mm-hmm. Ick. Just L.
Yeah.
Just take the
Take the
L.
L.
Period with the
Hard
T
T.
though.
Yeah.
It's a hard T.
Big yikes.
Big yikes. Cook. I love cook. I don't know if you use that a lot or if you've seen that used a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need that one or you got that one? You know what's
I'm
going on with that
familiar
one?
with these.
Okay.
I
All
think
right.
Hella Skrilla, I would need a definition for, but the other ones, I'm good on.
Hella Skrilla. Money.
That would have been my instinct on it, so I feel good about that.
Okay.
I will say, Big Yikes has strong millennial energy.
There are a few, and there's some I didn't include on here because I was like, ooh, I don't know about that one. There was some that I really was like, that I wasn't sure that it like Cap. I know is a newer one and
Mm-hmm.
it's in that thing, but I still feel like I'd heard that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Bet was one, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no, Bet is not.
That's been around for a bit.
Yeah, a basic. I don't know about basic. Oh, one that I didn't put and I should have. Giving, like it's
It's
giving
giving.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one I feel like I should have threw on there. But bruh, I thought has been around for like ever as well.
Yeah, some of these all feel like there's some slang that just kind of like transcends, right? Where
Yeah,
like it's
bougie.
good,
Like
bougie.
bougie
Yeah.
was one that shows up on things. If you go
Yeah.
by like classic Wikipedia and then like it's so funny because there are sites they know it's just like, oh, the most common Gen Z, and then they're like everybody, information literacy is so important. Before you click on something, just hover over it or just see if there's a date, because before you go like, oh yeah, everybody's into that article or that thing is like 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Or as soon as you click on something, just at the very top, see if there's a date, because that'll like inform you whether or not you should even care about what the next thing is.
If you're
It's like a
clicking
4-year-old
through
article on Gen Z, I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know if you know.
if you're
This
clicking
ain't it.
through an article and then you realize it's like Yahoo Answers, first of
God,
all,
yeah.
how'd you get there? Second of all, it's wrong.
Yes. And you know, but there's cook and there's cooked.
Right.
Drip, gagged.
Yeah.
I oop.
Which gagged is like
Mm-hmm.
Gen X. It like it feels like a return to like I think
Yes.
like Gen X or
Yes.
Boomer, or not Gen X or Boomer, Gen X or Millennial.
You know something, now that you
it's like
say that,
gag me with a spoon kind of like
yes.
vibes. Yeah.
There was Shanice showed me a recent SNL monologue with Maya Rudolph, who I love. She did a parody on Vogue, and there was just one part that somebody came up and interrupted her monologue, and she's like, what is it? And it's just like, I have a message from the gays. Your monologue, it's giving like hot mom or something like that, and then they scored her and it was a 10 and a 10, and then the last person was like, I'm gagged. And then
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I understand these terms, right? I
Right.
understand these terms, and I think it's because you're right, it is like a circle around.
Yeah. It's the
Gone
like
back.
Sling Ouroboros. Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Um
Mm-hmm.
I oop.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard this one.
I feel like I have, and then at first, if I did not hear it, if I did not find it on this list,
Mm-hmm.
I would have assumed it was like the person just like goofed or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, but like this is like it's like you did an oops, like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like embarrassment, shock, stuff like that.
Right.
Uh, Out of place. I don't know about that. I don't know if oops or I don't think it's an acronym like that. But yeah, it's shock, surprise,
Yeah.
embarrassment.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeet.
There's a
Uh,
lot of there's a lot of good ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to like see if there was any of these I could like cross the streams with.
Sure.
Like I said, there was some that I forgot. I didn't even think about putting on here. So the what was the one that I said that I forgot the first one? Anyway, uh, Cap. I see Cap.
Yeah.
That still felt like a like one that was there. Dank. I'm looking.
Dank's
I'm
good.
scrolling through. Uh, I'm scrolling through again. But
Yeah, but all of
mhm,
the like all of these are good. Like all of these are good slang.
mhm.
I'm a fan.
So when we think of this, is there any common ground? And like the easiest one that hilariously when my wife was telling me about something she
Mm-hmm.
mentors teens, and it said something about like somebody said Riz and they were trying to explain it and they were going back and forth about like, oh well, I think it means blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's charisma.
Right. It's
Like
short for charisma.
it's short for charisma.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no it isn't. And they're
It
like,
it super is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not that. It's like when it's like that's what charisma, and they just didn't know what like charisma was
Right.
because they didn't need it.
Right.
Um, Sus for suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that is very, a very easy one to work in.
Right.
That like there's always like, NPCs' attitudes towards
Mm-hmm.
players and how it can change.
Right.
Goats.
Greatest of all
There
time.
are literal goats in D&D.
There are yes, there are literal
So
goats.
there's a way this
Yeah.
shouldn't be too crazy.
Yeah.
Snatched I feel is not used enough.
Sure.
I think it's a very good way to like just it's one of those words that just can say so many things in one word.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you want to say, oh, they're dressed very, it's like if you just go like they're snatched.
Right.
It's like okay, all right, yes, yeah, they have money like that, they can do this. They put a lot of effort. You can tell a lot. And high key and low key, same deal. Are really good for whether or not like and passive perception or passive checks and like
Right.
active checks. So it's kind of like what they would be able to tell
Mm-hmm.
with something. So it's like you could, it's like low key you'd be able you can tell this, or like this is high key, you all can pick up on XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
uh so then I was like, all right, what are my favorites that I would go through? This is going to be a shorter one. I feel Hunter that you are just like, yeah, finish this up, I'm done here.
No, it's a very interesting presentation.
uh a natural one is a big yikes.
See, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Big yikes feels too millennial to me to be classified as Gen Z.
Really
I feel like
interesting.
the energy of Big
That's
Yikes
fair.
is the same as like Puppers and Doggo.
Interesting. Okay, so what would you call a natural one?
I don't know. I'm just saying Big Yikes specifically feels very millennial.
Okay.
The some of the stuff on here is absolutely Gen Z, has the tone of Gen
what
Z.
what
Uh
about what about a big L?
Big L does feel feels more Gen Z. I think adding big to it feels wrong
Really? Okay.
for Gen Z.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I am technically like in that last little window of millennial. So like
So you should be able to feel this.
yeah,
What do you feel in
I
your
can
soul?
translate.
Translate.
I believe I am like the last year of millennial and my wife is the first year of Gen Z. So
What about that ain't it?
that ain't it.
just full blown. It's just like, all right, what'd you roll? That ain't it. Just like full blown. That ain't it.
Yeah. Can you
Charisma
go
check
can you
risk
go back
checks
to
is
the can you go back to the big list?
sure, yeah. Once again, not a comprehensive list and also debatable in some cases.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna like scroll by and it's like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Or no, hold on. Like what's that's out of pocket as fuck. Even then, that's still like I still think out of pocket is like pushing it.
Yeah. I mean,
You have the internet.
sus is so good.
You see, lit is on the list of Gen Z terms, and I'm like, owned. I don't. You see, I feel like that's older, but just as like you roll an actual one, you got owned.
Yeah, it's real hard to say. Okay. Let's keep.
All right.
We'll keep going.
Then, if this helps your brain a little bit,
yeah.
What if we just did new, right?
Sure.
Now, I kind of like that, ain't it? I kind of like that, ain't it?
Yeah.
But if you just had to like in general come up with a term for a natural one, whether or not it's Gen Z or not, just what would you go? What phrase, word, or sound do you feel you would go for like a natural one?
Oh man. I feel like it's got to be some sort of exasperation, right? Like it's just some because the nat one is at its core just a bad vibe.
Okay.
I think that's it, right? It's a
Just a bad vibe.
It's just a bad vibe. Vibes are off.
Vibes are
off. That ain't it. The vibes are off. I think that does it. I do like Riz a lot. Like
and goddamn.
I do like Riz a lot. I think that is a good addition to language.
Did you ever see something and go, that's not going to be slang forever? Like
see something that you're just like that will die out. That is like
no, the other way around. Like there was a point in time where I was like trying to explain social media to someone that was older than me, and then where the word tweet
right
in my brain said, this is no longer gonna be what that is.
Right.
And I look at Riz and I don't see a word that will die.
Right.
I actually see somehow, some way that lasting and or overtaking the freaking word charisma. Like, and this is only because like nobody used I can't remember the last time I heard charisma used in like
outside of a TTRPG setting.
Correct. And then to go like Riz used, I'm like, oh, this is going to one day just be the word.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna like be
Well,
the
and I
thing.
mean,
And
it covers a wide range of bases, right? Because you've got like I know when I was in like high school, like people would be like, oh man, he's got that swag,
the
he's got that
sauce, yeah.
it's like you got that swag, you got that dog
Hmm.
in you, like that sort of stuff.
That I feel
um
is newer because
dog
because
in you is newer, but
Dogging is
like
newer. I feel because I
uh
freaking love that one too.
like like that sort of energy, and it's all like wrapped up in, you got that
Hmm.
Riz.
Hmm.
Like it's a very good one. I like it a lot. The there's like even just being able to be like rhythm up is like much better than be like, well, go flirt with them, my friend. Like the like yeah,
Hmm. I
like
do like that.
rhythm up is way better than like chat 'em up. Like
Yes.
yeah. So like I like
There's
Riz
a
a
different
lot.
connotation there. Yeah. Uh, I, I was a communication major in college, and I liked learning about languages. And one thing that is indicative of a language that is like it's well, the sign of a language that is like it isn't going to die is
Hmm.
that it steals. It steals words, and it
Right.
constantly changes meaning, and it is going. Yeah, I'm sorry for everybody that this made me feel old too, but guess what, if we don't confront it head on, we will go to dust, and we are
Your
just going to be
choices
left
are
gone.
either to stay as you are or to level up.
But then, hey, if this makes you feel old, but then when you hear people on the street talking about how something hits different,
Right.
they're not striking each other. And like at least you are like, not to contact the authorities.
Right.
You are aware of like, oh, they're
Oh man,
talking
yeah,
about a sandwich.
this hits different. Ah, have you acquired a new weapon proficiency, my friend?
Correct. Exactly. Yes. There's certain ones that just that just do make sense.
Yeah.
And this can help you. uh what what does hold on, I had a thing here specifically for this.
What you got?
um well, because I was thinking of like what kinds of things make up the new slang.
Mm-hmm.
And brevity. Slang has always been like to like make things quicker.
Mm-hmm.
We want to take less time talking and just just get everything out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about like just coming out quicker and saying a lot more complex things. Just like Riz, like
Mm-hmm.
Riz has so many meanings, stuff like that. um but and a lot of times they're fun to say. They might sound stupid at first, but then like I remember when I think in all seriousness used, there was a word I remember I used and I went like, well, I'm the first time I used it, I definitely felt like an old person trying so desperately
Mm-hmm.
to stay relevant. And then I was like, no, this is just the word for it now. And it might have been, I think it was so stupid. I think it was It's Giving. I feel like it was recent, like that I was just like I am
Yeah.
so old and trying, but you know what? This is the only way that I now know how to convey what this is doing, and I
Yeah.
believe this is giving blah 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 blah.
Right. Yeah.
But going back to this, because I have a whole bunch of crossover ones too.
Sure.
But for critical success, I think hits different is good.
Mm.
Where it's just like we know it's going to succeed the best it can, but it doesn't always have to be. We say like we said like oh, natural doesn't mean you don't punch somebody to the moon. It doesn't mean you get to do everything exactly. You're gonna get the
Mm-hmm.
best possible outcome. So this is
Mm-hmm.
gonna hit differently than if you'd have just done it well. Like this
Right.
is gonna do the best it can. Uh, but there's some other ones. So a goat, a critical hit is just
Sure.
like this is like it's in slow mo. A natural 20
Lit.
can be just lit. It's
Yeah.
like in old what is it, NBA Street, where it's like the ball's on fire and it's just like it's like, oh, you rolled the best d20. A flex check for an athletics check is kind of cool to me, where it's just like T for lore, I think
Oh
works out
man,
really good, right?
T I feel like would specifically be trying to find out like a kind of gossipy
Mm-hmm.
history, right? So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
if you were rolling like a charisma based history check of like
Mm-hmm.
let me find out like what's the T, like
That's really good, yeah.
that sort of energy.
Uh,
um
a high key could be for a perception check, like, just like literally see what's out there, like giving everything. Mood for role play, I skipped over that one. um I think it'd be really funny because I know I sometimes have players that can't,
mhm.
that they're not as comfortable.
Sure.
So it's I like pro tip, I trick people into role playing sometimes,
Mhm.
where with very delicately, I make bold claims or accusations,
Yes,
or like
you've talked
how
about
they're doing
this
something. Yes.
process before.
Yes.
Yeah.
You very delicately go, oh, so you go in there and you yell, and then they're like, no, I say this. And then they'll tell you how they
Right.
intend to do something, and it's like, they're setting the mood. They're it's just like, hey, they're making everything like immersive.
Right.
Uh,
Somewhere between like mood and vibe
mm-hmm,
is what you're shooting for. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Uh, extra for overpowered.
Mhm.
Snatched for sleight of hand doesn't work, but I thought it was
Yeah.
still funny,
Yeah.
because I was just like, it's a way to literally incorporate it, but that is not what that
It's
means.
very
It's
incorrect. Yeah.
not what that means.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny. A sus check, I think is good for an insight check.
That's fair.
Uh,
Yeah.
he just slaps his Eldritch Blast. uh
Uh-huh.
for caught in 4K, I thought natural one would be like a hardcore zoom in into the person failing.
Yeah.
Because I like to sometimes not make a natural one be necessarily a failure, in the sense of like, you suck. Just like, it didn't go as intended, and
Right.
this is the worst it can go. um and caught in 4K seems funny to me, where it's just like, oh, it's not just you goofed, it's
Mhm.
you did a big goof and everybody saw it, so it's everybody's witnessing this thing. A Chad is just a barbarian. uh
I would fight that one.
that's fair. That one I did. That was me. Just like, this would be funny. I was gonna have a bunch of barbarian things like I did last time, where I
Yeah.
was like, barbarian fashions and stuff, and I was just like, I don't know why, I just imagined
Yeah.
big old
I
Chad
think
barbarian.
Chad is a like it's almost more of a personality thing.
It's a personality trait. It's not
Um
necessarily like just a big strong person. It's
yeah.
not like that.
Like I to me the like Chad personality is
Hmm.
almost more of like the worst paladin, like
Ooh, yeah.
that guy that like
Oh, yes,
plays a
yes,
paladin
yes,
specifically for
yes.
like it gets way too into it, like that guy, like that's
Oh,
more
one
the
thousand
Chad
percent.
vibes,
Oh, that makes way more sense.
to me at least.
I'm just put Allie.
um
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Drip for magic armor, I think is funny. Uh,
just
just like, yo,
any magic items, like you have 3 drip slots.
that's
Like,
funny. That's really
if you're
good.
instead of attunement, you have like you can have a maximum of 3 pieces of drip, but if you take this other feat, like it allows you to have a 4th
Mm.
piece of drip.
I mean, it's just like, I just like the idea of like flex the drip, as in like
Yeah.
activating something that's like attuned like that.
Yeah.
Uh, I just want to. I don't use status ailments as much as I would love to.
Mhm.
Like, especially like if it's a physical game, I have like those status rings that like, oh, you're stunned, and like, like I want to. I want opportunities to spam them all the time,
Mhm.
and just the opportunity to say like, oh, you're gagged, like, and like just like have like social stuns, where it's
Right.
like, what they said stunned you, like you are like not paralyzed, but you are
Right.
definitely like, what?
Yeah.
What?
It would be
Um,
very funny to go through all of the like status effects and just be like, okay, what is the slang for each of these?
that's
Um,
slang for each one.
you're
Oh
you're
God, I want to
you're
do
pr-
that now.
you're prone, touch grass.
That's actually, oh
Because
my
you're
God, that's
literally
so funny.
like down touching grass.
That's really funny. Oh my God.
Um, I like the like very literal interpretation of some of
That's
these. It's
really
very
good.
entertaining to me.
Oh yeah. Uh, but you know what? Now this has kind of become something very, very serious. Because now I want to actually come up with slang for each one. uh, but what was the last one? Zesty. I don't know. I think Zesty was funny. Uh,
This is a good one.
let's just see. I need a cheat sheet. Nope, no, not a cheat sheet. Is there any that were that aren't on here or that you want to uh like go into or like anything at all?
Um, I mean, you have slaps for Eldritch Blast. I think Eldritch Blast is more of a yeet.
That's
Personally,
really good.
especially if you have repelling blast. If you're
I think
just
it's
like
because
you're
I
just
think
like
it's because like I
shoot
thought of it
them.
like force damage. Like I don't know why I just thought like a flat like a slap being like
Yeah,
forceful.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think slaps is a good thing. Um,
Yeah. Oh yes. Yes.
yeah.
Okay. And then Zesty of Barbarian. And then I literally just added this real quick, because it'd be funny to rapid fire some status conditions. What would you call blinded?
Man, I can't
This is too
think
much
of
for your brain.
I can't think of both the list of
I have them
things
up.
and I can only see the conditions though. I
Oh,
can't think of
okay.
the
You don't
list
have to
of
think about it in Gen
phrases.
Z terms. I'm just talking about if you had to go, I'm gonna inform somebody that they are blinded, but
Mhm.
without using that generic term.
Mhm.
That what does that even mean? No, let's update that. Let's come up with a new term for blinded. Uh, what do you think? What jumps out at you?
Hmm.
Uh,
Nothing jumps out immediately for me.
what about
Um
what about unpeeped? You got your peepers taken away. Oh, that.
sure.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Does that work? Does that do anything for you?
Not not particularly, but I
Blinded is unpeeped. I don't know why I love that so much. It's so stupid.
uh-huh.
Oh my god. An
Charmed
involuntary
is actually absolutely uh
rizzed.
rizzed. Yeah.
Rosie said blinded is involuntary peekaboo. that's that's good.
Oh
Oh god.
man. Um
Obviously, yeah, Riz, you're correct on Rizzed. Deafened is this is I think it is hold on. Oh, what? With a question mark? Does that how do you feel about that? What? You've been whatted?
it sounds like Goofy asking a question.
You've been whatted?
Oh man.
Hexed. Oh boy. You've been I know it doesn't make sense, but like I was gonna say unrizzed or de-rizzed.
Let's
uh
see here.
I think spooped for frightened is uh grappled. What for grappled? Uh stupid. Grappled and restrained are so similar.
Yeah. This
They're so
this was fun in theory.
you're right. This is well, you learn. You live and you learn. Sometimes it's you're just like, you know what? This is stupid. But Sometimes it be like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it be like that. Uh, but yeah. So, uh, are there any are there any other things you would love to see tweaked, or are there any things you find yourself using in your games where you're just like, I tend to call blank blank
Mm.
town guard? Do you call them the fuzz? Do you
I do say I do refer to the guards as cops a lot. I have routinely had NPCs ask my like the characters if if they're narcs. The like it comes up a lot. One of my groups, they went to hell for this like event, and they went there, and while they were there was a room that had like a bunch of hell drugs in it, and the one character just like took all of the drugs and just put them all into his bag, and then when he got back to the prime material, he had just a bag full of hell drugs, and so he just kept trying to sell these hell drugs. And it had been a running joke up until that point in the campaign that like NPCs would ask him if he was a narc for like random conversations. He just had that energy of like, you a narc? Like, you a cop? You seem like a cop. You got that energy. And he'd be like, I'm not. But then he started trying to sell drugs. Like he was trying to sell these hell drugs. And so we would go and talk to people, and they would be like, you a cop? You a narc? And I'd have him roll to like try and persuade them that he wasn't. And
but was he at that point? Like, I don't like.
that player has never rolled so well as when he is trying to sell hell drugs. He rolls
Oh
so
God.
insanely well every time there is some like drug dealer type thing going on, and rolls absolute garbage the vast majority of the time. Um, there's so many like opportunities for like that sort of energy, and it cracks me up.
Just because I think it's funny, selling hell drugs is definitely a phrase that I think should be should
new
be
new
noted.
new slang. uh
Uh,
it is like these are phrases that should be like I feel like we could rapid fire
mhm.
phrases that would be like expressions in like a D&D
Oh,
world.
oh yeah. I
Like he's just selling hell drugs.
he's just
um
selling hell drugs. Uh,
Viciously
I
mock the
I, I
devil.
want to viciously mock the devil. You see, like that's one that yeah, that could actually. I was this you're spoiling the next one because I was gonna also have
Mm,
a full like t-shirt mock-up campaign.
mm.
Uh, wow, I don't know how to spell viciously.
um
Viscously, viscously, viscously,
Isosceles triangle.
isosceles triangle. Um, there's something involving smite, and it's making me mad because either I had it or it's on the tip of my tongue. Uh, and I think it's something like smite your problems away. Like, you know that there's a paladin that does that.
Mm-hmm.
That just smites
Mm-hmm.
their problems. Uh, uh, there's also just
I just can't
I
I
feel like
can't
this has
stop
been said
thinking
at some
I can't
what?
stop thinking about a paladin who like a paladin who's very like classic literature type vibes, and a paladin who's like, oh yes, well the pen might be mightier than the sword, but the sword is smitier than the pen.
That's really good. Group of wandering murder hobos.
Uh-huh.
That's been said more than once.
Sure.
Uh, the smite is mightier than the pen.
Oh man.
I like that.
I love the concept of like ex- like things that are just common phrases in a D&D world. Like like even with just like things that are said in different like organizations and like ways to signal that you are a part of a certain guild or anything like that, like all of those are very fun for me to sort of like craft. There was a it's not words, but there was an organization in one of my games that um was designed to be sort of like very strict levels of like formality and stuff like that. And so I had a whole system of like when they were like showing respect to people, there was like a like cross one hand over your chest, cross the other hand over the chest, like cross a hand down,
Mm.
like all of these sort of like gestures that people would make, and it depended on like which hand you were using, if you were going up, if you were going to the side, if you were going down in front, like and so I had made this whole thing, and it was cool to watch the players figure out what those were, um without like uh without me having to explain it, of like them kind of based on the context of, okay, well, this person is responding in this way to us, this person is responding in this way, and like kind of figuring that out. And like I remember the session where somebody because they had, if you were crossing your hands in front of you, those were signs of respect, and it was just like a
Oh.
like
Mm-hmm.
one in front of you from one side was like a sign of respect to someone who was above you, some from the other side was somebody who was below you but still a sign of respect, and the if you were to go down in front of you, it was a sign of disrespect. And I distinctly remember the first time that the
That's
players had somebody do that to them, and the immediate like rage that filled the
that
group, because it's the equivalent of like flipping somebody off.
That's the equivalent of some like mafia stuff, because I do remember seeing a TikTok or something one time, like a short, some one of those short videos where it
Hmm.
was like somebody's like, talking about their experiences
Hmm.
in the mafia or whatever, and it's just like, whenever there was somebody at the table that was newer, or we wanted to inform the people in the know who we weren't talking to, or who's not the guy,
Yeah.
I would pick up wine and I'd pour it like this. But if I poured backhanded,
Mm,
that would tell everybody, you watch out what you say in front of this guy.
yeah.
And it was just a matter of doot, doot, doot. And then if you poured like this, because and you made it look like, oh,
Right.
I'm just reaching, it was like an obvious sign, and everybody'd be like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
this is it. Yeah.
and that it's designed to be like a uh something that conveys like any of those motions is always done in sort of a like a way that it feels like it's showing
Hmm.
respect, but it's designed to be something that like if you are familiar with the system, you know what it means. And so like some of it is just very like if you're crossing left or right, like it's kind of uh like the in Spanish there's like the more formal version.
Hmm.
It's like that, like you're showing an extra level of um respect, or you're showing like we are equals or you are below me. um but yeah, I like things that are part of the language um in a fantasy world. um
This makes me go into something that is tricky for me. I'm able to make slides on the fly now. I'm actually liking this format that we're doing right now.
We need to
Uh,
make an official like
overlay for this type of
Overlay. Yeah.
situation. Um, and I love to be heavy-handed with details,
Mm-hmm.
because the more everybody knows, the more they get into it and the more freedom they'll feel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so while a lot of people like to like have if you have a table that is good at like digging and sussing things out and all that
Sure.
stuff, um, then that makes your job easier. But don't be afraid to just show those things and be heavy-handed with like all those
Mm-hmm.
details and letting them just notice it without checks, because then it lets them know, like it lets them have that reaction, you know what I mean? So I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how your players like acquired over time that knowledge of like, the table situation,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? They eventually got it so they can have that reaction.
Right.
And it could have been like, oh, you piece together this, you piece together that, but eventually they were shown it so that
Mm-hmm.
way they could react to it later.
Right.
Um, if you're comfortable teasing that kind of stuff out, you know how to pace it, or you know that they can get those roles, yeah, go for it. If not, then people can just like spoon feed it to them,
Right.
because then they'll have that moment later.
Yeah.
Uh, so just like hit people with those cultural like things, to hit them
Mm-hmm.
with the I love wordless communications, uh, rumors and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Inform a player about someone or something before they even meet someone.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna form that opinion of them. Uh, you know, if you have a big bad, but they can know the threat level and know how serious they are without having that final encounter.
Right.
You don't have to make it be that final encounter be like when they are getting to know that bad. Like
Mm-hmm.
in Strahd, you're seeing Strahd throughout the whole dang thing. You're seeing Strahd real early on, and it's not that means you can just take him out real early on, but you get so much
Right.
uh from like just showing the characters right away, showing the
Mm-hmm.
players that stuff.
Well,
Uh
and it gives you like if you are able to show that and sort of like really set those expectations and make them feel very much like they are in the world, you can tell a
mhm,
lot in very, very like simple things. Like to go back to the example of like them crossing their arms, uh the reason that crossing your arm over your chest is a sign of respect, and crossing like putting your arm down in front of you is not, is that it was a very like um brutal sort of warring culture. And so putting your arm across your chest is protecting your chest, and also
mm,
like keeping any vulnerable points away from them. And so it is a sign of respect of I know that you have the ability to be a threat.
mm. I take you
Whereas
seriously.
Right. Whereas putting your arms down in front of you, you're at a immediate disadvantage of like you can't reach for your weapons
You don't
easily
take them
in that
seriously.
situation. You're also leaving your chest exposed. Your arm is down at a weird angle. Like
Mm,
you're essentially saying like you are not a threat to me. I don't have to be on guard.
mm,
And so like that's why it is a sign of uh disrespect. um if but there was one motion which was crossing in front and then bringing like from this down in front of you still crossed, which meant that you were showing the utmost respect of like I need to be fully guarded in front of you. I know that you are capable of like killing me, down to in front into a very vulnerable position. So it's a like I know that you are a threat, but I like put myself at your mercy sort of thing. And like you can tell, you can sort of weave elements of a culture and a world into little things like that,
Mhm.
so that it tells the story as they learn more about it. Like when the players started piecing together what those different things meant and why they meant the things, it allowed them to have a better understanding of the like place they were in overall.
I love it. That it's man, it's one of those things where I know that I had to you had, your dad to, show you in early games. Like, you learned like early situations, and then yourself, you have experience. So by the time you were probably going real hardcore into this world building, you
Hmm.
had, like, at least some idea, whatever. I
Sure.
remember me being a 5e baby. I just had modules, and there's
Mm-hmm.
just so many little those little, like, nuance things that don't translate very well. You know what I
Mm.
mean? That it's hard to just, they can give you tips and tricks, but it's never gonna be like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to get that level of nuance to like just,
Right.
click.
Yeah. Well, especially when something like one of the reasons I don't necessarily love modules is the
Mhm.
fact that most modules are written towards a very wide market. Like
Mhm.
it needs to be attainable for every person that reads it, and it needs to be
Mhm.
written to have a wide playability,
Mhm.
which is fine. I think a lot of games should like write so that they are like able to be understood by anybody who plays them. But at the same time, a game like a module tends to have this sort of uh genericness to it because of that, unless the GM puts in
Mhm.
more to it, and kind of like makes it their own. The I look at modules a lot as being kind of a starting point to kind of like take and modify until it feels
I
more like me.
I think what helped me with modules, I think once I started thinking about modules the way I thought about, like, the player's handbook and everything,
Mhm.
when I first, like, people tried to get me into it, they just threw everything in. It's like, this is all stuff you have to do.
Mm,
Here's
mhm.
everything you like. This is, and once I realized that it's just a set of guidelines, it's
Right.
nothing is set in stone. It made
Anything
it made
can be
everything,
changed in a module.
yeah,
Yeah.
it made modules so much more, like, their resources,
Mhm.
their tools,
Right.
it's guides. It's not necessarily like that has to be your campaign.
Mhm.
You can run the same module more than once, and it doesn't have to go the exact same way. Um, and depending on how your group is, you will make things harder for yourself trying to stick to it,
Yeah.
like it is set in stone and it is a Bible. Uh but just go with what you have to do to adapt it to the table.
Mm.
Every table's different. So if you have to, play fast and loose, or you have to change terms and stuff, to make it so that way everybody understands what's going on,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden it's just like, all right, just make it lit, roll. It's just like wrist checks everywhere. Like, do what you got to do.
I've absolutely asked people to roll for vibe before.
I have, yeah,
Yeah.
vibes I've done. I have asked people to roll for, it is kind of, I will have somebody enter a room,
Mhm.
and then I'll have everybody just roll charisma checks,
Hmm.
like, not persuasion like that, and
Right.
then I'll have the person address that person that rolled highest,
Mm,
and
mhm.
the way I'll phrase it is like, he says it to you because right now he presumes you're in charge.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Because they're the natural charisma that they are exuding
Yeah.
in a natural space, it's just like they think you're the one
Well,
that's the highest right now.
in Rime of the Frost Maiden, there's a interaction that is specifically written that way. of one of the towns. You like go off and you do this thing and you come back to town, and it is specifically written as if the party has a clear de facto leader, the person will address them and will like talk to them. If not, it's whoever has the highest charisma modifier, the person talks to them. And the story, like the thing that they're trying to do is like convince them to kind of like run for mayor and like
Oh, the mayor run. Oh my god.
take over that town kind of. And my
I
character when I was playing in it was a bard, had the highest charisma stat, but also was a literal child, was a 5-year-old goblin. And so
that's ridiculous.
they addressed me and they were like, we like I think you should stick around and you should like run for mayor and like all of this stuff. And my character was basically like, hey, I'm a child. It's crazy you're asking me this right now.
I'm actually looking it up right now because I think it's the town was Goodmead, uh because this is actually the origin of my jerk douchebag character, because there is a guy that's like he's just like the like all the hunters look up to him and his
Right.
whatever, and like it just kind of his vibe was just like yes, I
The
accept
vibes
your
are off.
apology.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was just that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And from then on, I'm trying to think his name now. That's because it's making me uh it's making me mad because in my head he is that his name is that, like, this is his name. It's like Zardon. Man, it's killing me. It's so stupid. But it's
Characters like that to me are where it's important to make a distinction between charisma and riz. Of like somebody like
mm,
that has a high charisma, is able to like influence people. No riz though.
mhm, mhm. Yeah,
Like that's a gaslight gatekeep girl boss. But like no riz.
that's a good way to put it. I like that. Uh Hold on, this person's name all of us. No, 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 no. Come on, where is this guy?
We've lost Judy.
No, because
We've
no, because
lost Judy. He's
he's
gone.
Shander. Shander. His name was Shander. There we go. That's what it is. It's all come back like Vietnam flashbacks. His name was Shander, and anytime I would always make sure I would say something like, I can't tell you how to feel about this guy, but I want to punch him in the face.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
would want to punch this dude in the
I
face.
I love a character that you can describe as being horrible. Like,
Yeah.
hey, this is a like you can't put your finger on it. Something about this guy is just bad. Like the vibes are bad. Like he's not good. Um like there's something very entertaining to me about being like, okay, here's the character. They suck. Like they're horrible. Like don't even give them a second thought. I enjoy those.
This guy's name was Shander Froth. Oh, I just didn't like
Ugh.
this guy. Yeah. Mm. But he like I don't even think they were supposed to be like he was politician-y and slimy, but I
Right.
made him that way. And I was
Right.
like, ooh, I hate this guy.
You
Anyway.
you took a character, decided you didn't like him, and then made
Yeah.
it your life's mission to convince other people to also
He
not
became
like him.
yeah, he became the template though. That's the thing that
Right.
pissed me off. Yeah. So Hunter, what are our calls to action for today? What do we learn today?
That's
What
a great question. I feel like they should all be sort of in this same energy, right? It should be
Mhm.
in this sort of like uh vernacular theming. So I think our calls to action this week are the next time you're in a game, vibe check.
Mm.
Like check people's vibes. Like the vibe of a person, check the vibe of a room, like check with your GM to see if you can be like, let me like vibe check this guy, like let me vibe check this room, like stuff like that. Vibe checks are important. Do you have one?
Uh, add a word to your vocabulary that you don't think you would have used before, because it's gonna come in handy at some point. And I mean, I always think it's great to like just in your back pocket go, I have something to prove that I'm not the oldest, lamest in the room. I like you might be going like, I don't that's dumb. I don't need that. It's like, trust me, you will. There will be some
At
opportunity.
some point you will be the oldest and the lamest in the room, and
Yeah.
you need to have something that you can go, like let me do this thing, so that people know that like I may be older but I still got it.
Yeah. So
um
learn a new word and be less old
be less old is
is
not it.
what?
It's
Are
not
you
it.
sure?
Yeah.
That's no, is that a problematic one? I think that's fine to say, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't see the issue with this
let's
one.
do let's do learn new words, young mindset.
Yeah, I guess. That's whatever. Hippie bullshit. How does one do to learn new words? Uh,
Let's see. I
uh,
feel like we did vibe checks, which is like players checking vibes. I feel like we need one
mhm.
for GMs. Um,
Okay. Uh,
GMs, if you're making like if you're prepping for a game and you've got like a organization, or even just like a place that the players have never been before, or things like that, come up with some sort of either slang, or like phrasing, or things that they can do to show that they are separated, that they are this like their own entity, and like show them the slang of a place. Let the give your players a like words that are used in this place to mean this thing, and then just sit back in delight as they then like incorporate that slang into their language and use it in future games when they're not there. I have
so
a player who started using slang from one of my areas. They started using slang from there, and would say it in games when they were in other places. And I would just have like, uh, it- you're I don't know if you have this reaction. I've had a few times where I've heard somebody say something that I've only heard said in like the place I grew up, uh and I am nowhere near there, and so
kinda, I
I'll be
think
like,
so.
"Oh,
Yeah.
like, are you from this place?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Me too." Like it's fun to give like it's fun to give players things that they can sort of like latch onto to sort of pull
Mhm.
them into the world and ground them in this world, and then give them reactions to that in other places. Like if they use slang from one town and they go to another town and they use the slang there, like have somebody there who is from the town the slang is from, and like recognize it as, can like build a relationship there. It's fun, and it gives your world a level of like depth.
Okay. You all right. Here's the journey you took me on with this, with how you were explaining that. Because as you were starting to explain it, it sounded like you were like, describe something differently. And so I jokingly
Hmm.
was like, hit different, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you tripped up with like start using words they don't know, and then
Hmm.
it turned into like you just want people to confuse their players and just sit, because you said something like sit back and watch them like, and I'm like,
No, no,
okay,
no,
and then
no.
it came back, no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
it came back, but like it would, there was a journey. If if you were to
Of
play back my face,
discovery.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. And then I was like,
I
the
was
fuck?
watching you consistently seem like you knew where it was going and then immediately not know where it was going,
Yeah, I was
which
like,
is a reaction I
oh,
get quite often when I talk.
it happens.
Yeah.
But it was funny. Tell me how you want this worded,
Um,
because I have hit different / confused players, uh, and confused, not confused, confused players,
uh,
which is kind of different. That's kind of funny to me, but I'll let you say how you want that to go. But
yeah, put slang, um, slang and what's the word I'm looking for?
introduce
Introduce.
in world
Um,
slang.
yeah, that works.
Introduce.
Introduce.
I thought you were saying something funny, and then I didn't realize
Introduchy.
that I didn't. Oh my god! How do I word
No,
good?
that is correct, I
Okay,
think.
man. I would have looked at that for a half hour, going, "I think this is right." When I was still, I wouldn't have known.
Let's do introduce in-world slang / expressions.
Okay,
Sorry to give you another long word.
great. I don't know how to word good. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I love we've talked about the fact that I really enjoy a world that feels like lived
Mm-hmm.
in games. I think this is a great way to sort of do that, to really make sure that you are giving your game world a an extra level of sort of breath into it, that there's this like changes and things that are said in this area that aren't said in this area and stuff like that. It gives it an extra level of realism that is relatively easy to pull off,
Mm-hmm.
for a very, very high impact. Like even the something as simple as like incorporating a y'all equivalent in an area is like
Mm-hmm.
a very easy switch. Like a lot of GMs do some sort of voices for their characters, and so they have like oh, this area is English, this area is like Southern, like this is hard Texan, like anything like that. Like you, if you're already doing some level of that, like if you also add in the sort of expressions and things that are sort of common to say in those areas, it automatically adds it to sort of the lexicon of the world, which I love. Um, anything else before we wrap up, Judy?
No, I think I have butchered enough. Uh,
Okay. Well then we'll go ahead and wrap up. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. We will be back on Friday with more nonsense. Until then, check the vibes, learn new words, and add slang and expressions to your games. Have a great week. Remember to embrace the nonsense. We'll see you Friday. Bye, y'all.